Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, step right up. Don't be shy. Come, they have a front row seat for this glorious battle. A top-notch resource management and orcs. Orcs, orcs, I say. More orcs than you can conceive can be found under this tent. Come and see the epic three-way battle between Vikings, knights, and samurais. Witness the realities virtual, X-wings screaming across the sky, and more anime ladies than a gentleman can handle. There are wonders beyond your imagination. Now hurry along and buy your tickets. The seats are going fast. There is no time to play. Welcome, everyone, to the No Time to Play podcast, a podcast about board games, video games, and card games, and all other matter of things we don't have time to play. I am one of your hosts, Scott, and I am joined by Matt.
Hello.
Shane.
Good evening.
And the Len.
Hi, everybody.
Okay.
We're in good form today.
Good form today. So before we get started with today's theme, Matt, where can people find our previous content as well as our new interesting stuff that we'll be discussing in the news section?
Well, Scott, you can see us or hear us at notimetoplaytoday.com or on iTunes if you just search on iTunes for No Time to Play Today. And you can see us on YouTube at youtube.com/No Time to Play Today. And if you have any questions, which no one on the planet has yet to do yet, you can email us at notimetoplaytoday@gmail.com.
They might just be shy.
Well, there's no judgment here. You don't need to be shy with us.
There you go.
We are very nice
All right.
Canadian people.
Canadian people. As I've alluded to with my Ringmaster intro, today's theme, I guess, is Fantastical Circus, because a lot has happened. A lot of stuff. Almost, you might argue that the podcast is inappropriately named, because we have actually played a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So before we get into all the stuff we played, I thought we'd do a quick news update and where Matt can talk about one of our new features that has popped up.
Actually, we have done and we have uploaded and everything. No Time to Play Through. Part 1, where Scott and I go and do No Man's Sky. We started, part 1 is up now, and part 2 should be up by the time you actually can hear this, because by the time this is up, part 2 will also be up. So it's a new series that we are releasing out, and hopefully everyone likes it. I'm actually kind of proud of it, so everyone can check that out as well.
Yeah, we've been playing. We've been playing around. We've recorded a couple. Well, we've recorded one card game, and we've recorded a bunch of Final Fantasy stuff, and you recorded some No Man's Sky. So as we get the hang of this, I'm sure you'll see more of those in the future.
Yep.
The only other thing we have to bring up, because it's only discussed a lot, is several video game delays. So the first is that Final Fantasy 15 is being, you might not have heard of it, but it has been delayed to November?
Yeah, November 29th. It is now going to be, it's okay. I can handle it because I could just wait until the World of Final Fantasy comes out, and then it can tide me over. Until, Until
perhaps they will release a PlayStation 4 Pro Final Fantasy 15 bundle.
Oh my! All right.
You just blew Matt's mind, Lenny.
No, that was the sound of tragedy as he's like falling off the cliff as he realizes that could be quite likely, because then you need a new TV as well.
Yeah, that's true.
No, you don't need a new TV.
Oh, you need a new TV.
But you'll have a really good reason to get one.
Exactly. Yes, you have a good reason to get one, but you don't need one, because they say that if you have a 1080p TV with the Pro, you'll just, realize possibly enhanced frame rates for some games. So
I'm very interested in to see how 4K technology improves writing and gameplay.
It won't.
I still think it's smoother is fine for me, because as everyone here knows, I'm pretty blind already, so I don't need a more high definition TV to make me blinder. So as long as if it's running smoother, and the games have been running smooth already anyway, so it's I guess more smoothness is always a good thing, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. And on anything else for video game? Oh, I guess Gran Turismo Sport was also delayed till 2017, and there was one other big game I think that was delayed. I can't even remember now. I think that was the two big ones.
Was it Last Guardian? Because that's always delayed. So
no, I didn't see that.
I don't believe that's been delayed.
Because that game doesn't actually exist.
Yeah, there you go.
They're tricking us.
All right, so we're gonna move to the big weekend discussion, because I'm sure other stuff will end up falling out either before Fan Expo or after Fan Expo. So Matt, Shane, and I at various times, or some of us, we were there for most of it, went to Fan Expo, which is a big convention in Toronto that does celebrities, horror, anime, cosplay, video games, board games, and merchandising and comics. I think that's pretty much all it does.
And sci-fi fantasy.
Oh, and sci-fi fantasy. Yeah. So our feet are all sore from various walking that we did around there.
Actually, mine are doing all right now.
I was doing well. See, I hiked today about 10 kilometers, which was a mistake. Maybe almost 10. So anyway, I thought we would break it up into two sections. I thought we'd do the video games first and then go through the board games. So is everyone okay with that? So
sounds good.
Now, we learned from previous things that if you go to see video games, unlike the board games, the video games, you need to be there early because everyone lines up for them.
Yeah, the trick is you got to get in right as they open up, and you pretty much have to run to the booths because everyone that's there is trying to get to that sweet video game section.
Yeah.
The problem is that board games you can have you set up a bunch of tables and you're good to go, right? And then but with video games you actually need so much extra hardware.
The other thing too, though, there wasn't. We'll talk about it at the end if we want to give our. There wasn't anything new for the board games. Like people were going to play essentially
what's already out.
There wasn't anything
with
released.
the exception of what we're going to talk about later.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll start off with the Sony booth. The Sony had a series of. I didn't get to play Gran Turismo Sport because the line was too long. But they had VRs all set up, which we'll have Matt discuss in a second. So they had the Gran Turismo, the VR. They had Uncharted 2 on two screens for some reason.
No, Uncharted 4.
Or Uncharted 4. Uncharted 2 would have been interesting.
I would question the Uncharted 2 for, what are these here?
It's this game's 5 years old. Why is this?
And then they had Gravity Rush 2 and No Man's Sky.
And they also had two indie games. I'm trying to remember the name of them, and
we didn't play them.
It was Agnog.
So Matt, don't worry about it. We can't talk
indie
about
games always matter, Scott.
I know they matter, but that's not true because we didn't play them.
Well, that's true.
So talk about your VR experience.
Yeah, so I tried VR for the first time ever, and it was pretty awesome, actually. I played Wayward Sky, which is an adventure game that is going to be part of the launch, I think, for the VR in October. And it was pretty cool. It was funny because it definitely wasn't the popular choice because there's a bunch. There's like Riggs, there's Until Dawn, there's Rez, there's a few other games as well. But it seemed like no one really wanted to play the adventure games. I love adventure games. They're like my second favorite thing after Final Fantasy. So I'm like, well, of course I'll try this out. So I got to skip a good chunk of the line, which was pretty sweet. And pretty much what it was just a typical like point and click. You actually use the move controllers to move your character around, and then you would go into, once you get to a station, you would go into first person mode, and then you would deal with the whatever the problem was. Like, you had one of them was moving lights into sockets and stuff like that. And the cool thing about VR is that its scale is huge. Like, it's like there's like this robot that comes down and he's telling you that he has to fix himself and stuff like that. But it's all done in cartoon cutesy and stuff. There's no real talking in or anything like that. But the scale is huge because it's like to see the whole robot, you actually have to look up and look around. He takes up the whole thing, and
I just want to say, as a spectator, I'll talk in greater detail, but right briefly, looking at the other monitors while you were doing yours, like I felt yours was the most game of the games there. Like the other ones really felt,
with the exception of Riggs, probably.
Yeah, Riggs. There was one that kind of looked like a game. All the rest of them look like we're just showcasing you VR. So whereas you were actually figuring out puzzles, and I could see you like interacting with the game a fair amount, and like even thinking, like I can tell from your body language that you were trying to figure something out. Everyone else had this sort of I'm walking through an aquarium and looking at stuff kind of feel to them.
Yeah, it was like a spectacle for them as opposed to me that I was actually playing it, which was cool because the judgment of space is a little different as well, because I'm used to like a game, I'm not used to like moving around too much, and then when like I would be like, oh okay, I need to press a button, and then I'll move my move controller up, and it like has your hand on the screen, and then I click it, and it's like, oh, I'm not far enough, so I actually have to lean forward in my chair to like actually click the button. I thought it was cool because like the space, it's like not only when you look around it you see the space around you, but like moving it is like a 1-to-1 ratio of where you are in the world, like where your hand is in the world and stuff. So it's like it was pretty cool. Like it was really neat. I wanted to try it again without my glasses on because it was hot in the convention center, so I was like sweating, and then my glasses kind of got all smudged up. So I kept seeing like smudge marks when I was looking around and stuff like that. So I want to try it without it to see if it worked with my blindness. But yeah, it was awesome. Like it was funny because it's like. It's not like I didn't demo a game that was like, oh my god, this is so awesome. But it was like everything about it was like interesting and cool because it's like I like things that would be boring in a normal game, like being in an elevator, were really cool for me because I hit the button in the elevator is going down, and then I just like I looked over to my right and I saw this vast like world around it. I was like, holy smokes. It's like, and then you're looking all around you and you can see pretty much everything like around you. And yeah, it was a really cool experience. And I didn't get any motion sickness, which some people have been complaining about, like they would get motion sickness from it. However, I wouldn't think Wayward Sky is a type of game that would actually give you too much motion sickness because of the pace of the game. It's a slower thinking game as opposed to a reflex game like Riggs would be. But yeah, it was pretty sweet. I liked it very much.
Did you try it, Shane, or no?
I did not.
Okay. So I can speak as someone who is watching.
Yeah. As someone who was heckling me.
There was a bit of heckling. It was interesting though because we were chatting with the woman that was running the VR booth for Matt, and she was saying something similar to that everyone was trying the other ones, but they weren't necessarily. They didn't try Matt's for whatever reason, so which I didn't understand because I was like, as I said before, out of all the stuff I saw, that was the one that was actually a game. I don't have much to add to that. Did you guys, either of you, have questions about Matt's experience or no?
No, I think you did a good job describing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While that was going on, while he was waiting in line, I played No Man's Sky, and I don't know who played before me, but they were quite cruel because they didn't they used up all the energy, and so the mining gun was dead, his life support was damaged, the scanner was damaged, and he had nothing. So basically when I took over the demo, I had to hit a rock with like the bottom of the gun to break it so that I could get enough carbon so that I could get going on that. So I felt I left them in better shape than when I picked it up. But
it's too bad we got busy because I was tempted to go there and just like, all right, I'm going to fix this all up and we're going to demo this right.
Yeah, because John said that the planet he went to was completely stripped of resources as well.
Oh, John tried. Oh, yeah, because he went over what day did he go over?
I forget, but he said basically the same thing that you did. When he played, it was not optimal because whoever had played before him had, basically wasted everything. And
yeah, because he came over when I was doing it, and then I was telling him, "Welcome to Planet Terrible," and I was explaining to him how awful it was. But yeah, and the only other thing we tried was Gravity Rush 2. So I don't know if you want to talk about that, Matt.
In the Sony booth, yeah, Gravity Rush. I played it, and I was Scott watched again, and I really liked it. It's more Gravity Rush, only it seems a little bit more refined than the first one. It's super pretty. I really liked the first one as well because like it was an origin story of a completely new hero and stuff, and like I like the art style and like it was really good. And the Gravity Rush 2 seems more of that and a continuation of that too. So I didn't get a chance to use. I just did the basic demo as opposed to the advanced demo. I think with the advanced demo you get to use the new powers like the Jupiter powers and the Moon powers and stuff. I think it's Moon powers. I'm not sure, but I didn't get a chance to use those new moves. But yeah, it felt good and it looks really good too. So like I'm excited for that. That's gonna be in December, so I won't get it until after Christmas because I'll be in full Final Fantasy 15 mode when it comes out. So, but I'm definitely looking forward to it being probably the first game I'm gonna beat in 2017.
Nice.
All right. I would say the one that I found the most interesting was the at the Ubisoft. I must confess, I was probably more impressed. As much as I felt that the Sony booth was run well and the Xbox One was fine, I was actually impressed with what I saw at the Ubisoft.
Yeah, plus that carpet, man.
Yeah, it did have the best carpet.
It had really nice carpet. It was very
So-
plush.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
a quick
like-
when we first got there, we played Steep, which is a I don't know, it was skiing like extreme
like
sport
SSX
off of
tricky
yeah,
or something
SX.
like that.
I don't know if I would buy the game, but I actually quite enjoyed it. Like the being able to switch between skis, snowboards, and parachutes, and like the suit, the wingsuit,
The wingsuit.
The glider.
glider suit, or whatever it's called. But yeah, like
Yeah.
it actually was a very smooth game. I was pretty
Well,
surprised.
I like that was the coolest thing about it is like because I started in the wingsuit and I'm like going down and like just like going like all the way through and then I eventually like hit the ground and I'm like well I expected it to like restart or something like that and then the guy and I think the guy said he's like no bring out your snowboard and I was
Yeah.
like what and he told me what button to hit and I brought brought out and then you could just start snowboarding from where you landed on your wingsuit. So I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like, it's such a neat idea that it's just a giant mountain that you could do whatever
You
want
want
on
with.
it.
Yeah.
I
Which
feel
is
that
kind of
I-
great for me because I don't play those games to get a high score or anything like that. I just go down to see how fast I can go, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
And have fun traversing the mountain.
yeah. I think Lenny would like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember watching E3, their conference, and seeing that being demoed, and it looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I thought of you, and I thought out of all of us that you would enjoy it the most. But the other game we played at the Ubisoft booth was called For Honor.
Which looks
Yeah.
awesome.
I am see, I'm terrible at first-person shooters and like those team games, but I realized that for Honor, although I feel I had an okay performance when we actually played. This game solved one of my problems, which is that I'm terrible at aiming with an analog stick. So whenever I play those first-person shooters, I'm trying to move myself around, then it takes me a very long time to adjust my thing. This game, on the other hand, is a team-based game where you're trying to control territory, and like like Overwatch and all those first. But this one, it's an olden. Well, it's not. It's a fantastical world in the sense that it's like medieval.
Like alternate universe. Yeah,
Alternate universe.
medieval,
So you have Vikings and you have knights and you have samurai, and none of them apparently have bows, which is good. At least at the start, there's no bows. So everyone's
Yeah.
fighting in a physical
Well,
combat.
except for that girl in the trailer.
Yeah, we hate that girl in the trailer with it. She brings archery. That's her nefarious scheme. I'm going to bring bows and arrows to this melee fight. But what was interesting about it was that everyone had a guard, so you could you moved the direction pad to move yourself into a guard. So you can either be high guard, left guard, or right guard. And so basically, just looking at the other person or the very helpful icon that tells you what stance they're in, then you can then you hit the R2 trigger, I think it was, to swing in. So if you have a high guard, then I swing down low. And if you have a low guard on the one side, then I try to hit you on the other side. And if you see that I'm swinging that side, then you can quickly try to switch your defense or roll away. But there's also environmental, like you can grab people and throw them and stuff like that. So the three main so Matt and I played Vikings.
Yeah.
And our team up matchup was we had the other two guys we played with are pretty fun because they basically one of them chose a Viking and one
They knew
chose,
what they were getting into too,
yeah,
right?
they knew
Like
what they were
that's
getting
like
into
we're
because
not all great at these things.
whereas I feel the other people were in it to win because they showed up. They did like it was like four samurais or three samurais and
No,
one
three
Viking
samurais and a Viking.
and a Viking versus three
Now,
Vikings and a samurai, and we were like, that does not bode well for us because the Vikings are tough, but they're slow. And the problem we kept having was is that whenever we got the upper hand on somebody, another samurai would run over and we'd be fighting two samurais. And I didn't, and I think I joked at one point, he's like, I can fight one samurai, but I can't fight two samurai.
yeah,
So,
the thing is too, it's like it seemed like Vikings because there's NPCs in the non-player characters in the fray as well. So there's these kind of like small soldiers that aren't really that hard to fight, like they're just kind of like fodder in a way. But it seemed like the Viking class that we played were particularly good against them, like because like even when we were hit by a small guy, it didn't do anything to the Viking at all, really, but it seemed to affect the samurai. And I was having more success fighting in the middle because it's like there's 2 points on each end, which have just the players that fight, and then there's the part in the middle which has like the small soldiers and stuff like that. I had a much easier time fighting in there because it was messy and it was actually making the samurais kind of like move around, like get like if they get hit by a guy, they would react more than I would, so it would give me the upper edge. So it was cool because it means that like since the three classes are different, they have advantages and disadvantages like that are different from each other. So I thought it was pretty cool. I just discovered it way too late in the game.
yeah, I felt it was well balanced. That's what surprised me. Like, as much as I was complaining about those stupid samurais, like it's just that they were a more well organized team. Like they just knew what they were doing. So,
Yeah,
And the game is so pretty.
it is very pretty.
it
I mean,
really is. Pretty,
it does
yeah.
have that medieval brown, but I think it was a very very pretty medieval brown.
The samurais
got all
had
the-
nice, colorful armor.
Yes, I don't get me. I think the character models were excellent. But
Yeah, the world. But you're
And
also
also
basically
the-
fighting in a castle, so
yeah,
you know
It would be a lot of browns and grays.
there's
and
a
stuff.
lot of grays
But there-
and a lot of
like,
browns. Yeah.
yeah.
In the trailer, there was a lot of greens and stuff like that, and vegetation and stuff. So
Yeah, no,
I'm thinking that there'll be a lot of diversity.
Oh no,
Yeah,
I
you
was,
go to a
I, was-
different
I was,
map.
I was mostly joking, guys. That most because it is medieval. Yeah, I don't have anything else I really want to add to that, other than I think I would actually, but yeah, I would be interested in playing it. I guess would be like playing the full game. So, the last thing at the Ubi. Sorry, anything else from anyone else on that, or are you okay?
Nope.
I think I would
yeah,
probably just kind of add because I know what game you're talking about. That would be fun for just like a bunch of friends to get together and just go to town.
That was
Yeah.
my question. Is can you play it on one
Yeah.
machine? That was my one question.
Not likely. I don't think there's too many games you can
No.
do that on nowadays.
Yeah, the split screen is kind of a
why do
dying thing.
people hate split screens? I don't understand.
Because
Well, I know why companies hate. I know why companies hate split screens. 'Cause
Well, it's also really hard on like to try to render two things. Everything starts looking terrible and stuff. Because when you render, because you're rendering two different, like two or maybe four, like different areas all at the same time.
Yeah, the
And
fidelity
it's
would
gotten a
seriously-
lot harder to do.
I'm just saying,
It's gotten a lot
GoldenEye had
harder
terrible.
to do that.
GoldenEye had terrible graphics, and it was still fun to have four people playing on the same screen. Because then you had the skill of trying to figure out who was close to you, judging by the other three screens. But
Well, actually, like there's that's more of an indie game thing now to do the split screen stuff.
oh, there you go.
Like very few AAA games do it. But yeah, the last game from Ubisoft is Watch Dogs 2. We didn't get to play it. It was just a tech demo. And then a guy was kind of going around messing around with stuff, but it definitely looks real. I'm actually much more interested in this than I was in the last one. Like I liked the first Watch Dogs, but I didn't really like the character, and that's completely different in this one.
Yeah,
Like,
so
I
Watch
really
Dogs.
like them.
Yeah, it's basically Grand Theft Auto, but with a hacker. And what impressed me was just how, well, the character, I actually kind of liked the character, but I also liked how he could interact in the world. Like the fact that he could cause all the phones to ring to create a distraction, or he could take control of vehicles and move them. And the one I liked was when he stole a car and he's driving down the road and he could just send a signal up to have all the cars pull over so they're not in the way, which is, always with a Grand Theft Auto, usually you crash the car within seconds because you can't drive around traffic. That he could move those things out of the way. I also like the drones. The main character has several like remote control devices that he can drive to various places to set up traps and do different things. And it just seemed like
the drones were hilarious.
Yeah.
I like
So he's a decker and a rigger and a street samurai.
No, he's not a street samurai.
He's not a street samurai. Definitely not a street samurai.
Oh, okay.
He can throw a punch, but
I would say he's a
mostly
decker / rigger, and that's probably it.
Decker / rigger. I mean, he's not like a fat guy, but he's in shape. But I mean, I don't think he.
Well, he's like a parkour guy. Like he runs away a lot.
Yeah, he runs
like all
from
through the mission. He was like,
stuff, yeah.
it's like, oh, there's people. I'm running away. It's like,
Okay.
which added a lot of cool things too, because he had a little drone. Sorry, go ahead.
The first Watchdog, I've yet to play it. Silent. It has silent protagonist, right? Is he silent?
No, it doesn't. It has, the guy that plays the Deus Ex guy.
Okay. Yeah.
It's the same voice actor,
Okay.
and it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. Like he's so like super gruff and stuff like that, but it doesn't really fit his character.
I gotcha.
So I had a problem with that. Plus the character in general, I wasn't really into. Which is kind of a big thing for me too, right? Like you're going to be spending 20, 30 hours with a guy, you would want to like relate to him or, at least like his personality and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's awesome about Marcus. He seems like a cool guy.
Yeah, I think they've done a bit more work on this one, and it's just seemed a bit more interesting, and the anarchist theme seems to work better with the concept of it, like trying to be more like stereotypical hacker kind of thing and making the character younger and stuff. So I am looking forward to that
also,
one.
it's gonna. I have a good feeling it's gonna be like them. Well, Ubisoft did it, like the Assassin's Creed to Assassin's Creed 2 thing. Like Assassin's Creed had great ideas, but it kind of fell apart when it all tried to come together. And then Assassin's Creed 2 really stepped it up and like was so much better than the first one because they just built and like polished all the ideas that they tried to get in the first one.
Oh, really? Because
I feel like Watch Dogs 2 is.
I enjoyed the first one.
No, like I'm not saying the first one's bad. I'm just saying it's like it was like starting this idea, and then the second one was just so much better than that it really kind of took those ideas and really went with them. And it was the same thing with that. Like I really like Ezio as a character more than Desmond. Is it Desmond? But
yeah, Desmond.
But yeah, anyways, I have a feeling that it's going to be that step up. Like it's like, not necessarily because Watchdog isn't bad either. It's just I feel that Watch Dogs 2 is just going to be so much better than it because of like what they're doing. Ubisoft's pretty good with that. It's like if they try something, if it doesn't work, they take the feedback from that and then they change it and try to make it good again.
Yeah.
As far as video games go, there's really only two more I want to talk about.
Well, the only two I have left are Cuphead and Gears of War.
Oh, so three more.
Okay.
Because there's Recore as well.
Oh, I forgot Recore. Okay, well, Matt, I'll do Cuphead
but
real quick.
Those are the three on the Xbox.
Yeah,
okay,
so the Microsoft one, when Shane wanted to design his, I forgot what you were designing, controller. You were going to do your
controller. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. That was my favorite part of the booth.
And then while he was doing...
Okay, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, color your own controller so you can put whatever colors you want.
Do you try and make it look as ugly as possible?
No, I'd make it look what I would consider to be one that I liked, like a look that I like.
Oh,
but
okay.
You could make it look intentionally as ugly as you wanted it to, yes. That definitely is an option. Anyways.
Sorry. So Cuphead is basically a Mario game, but it's done in a Steamboat Willie vintage cartoon style. And it was, it was typical. Like you jump, you shoot, you avoid things, you pick up things, go through a level. It was, to be honest, what sold you more on it was the art of the game. Like the game itself was, I
Yeah.
wasn't shocked about it or impressed by the gameplay,
But
but
the
it's
style.
the style was very well done, and I would love to actually play it with sound because the game just seemed very impressive from an
Yeah.
aesthetic.
Well, the thing about that game too is that we didn't get a chance to play a boss level, and that a game was originally only designed to be boss fights. So I'm wondering if the reason why we played it and the reason why it just felt like a normal like platformer and stuff like that is because that's like the newest part of the game that hasn't been fully developed yet. Because like it was still fun and the style is crazy, but like it will definitely be the less cooked part to that, right?
Yeah. No, yeah, yeah, I would like to play it more, and I would like to play it in an environment where I could hear the sound and get the whole aesthetic experience of it. But it seemed well designed, and I think I even said to you at the time, I said, I guess this is their Mario. Like, I hope it does well for them because then that can be their guy that's on Cuphead Kart or Cuphead Battle Bros or whatever they're gonna make.
Oh man,
Uh,
a kart racer in that art style would be crazy.
it would be pretty
Like you could
cool.
really do some cool stuff with that.
Yeah,
Oh man, now you got now I hope that happens.
yeah. But that's all I
Even
have.
if it's not just an Xbox thing, I mean.
Yeah. So just to speed this along, I'm gonna say that's all I had to say. Now, you want to go through your two games real quick, Matt?
Yeah, just real quick. Recore seemed cool. It seemed like a combination of Borderlands and but with even more RPG elements to it. Oh no, what was the other one? Zelda. It was like Borderlands and Zelda, because it had like the guns and stuff and like but you had the fighting combat style of Zelda because you're like locking onto dudes and you're like doing different things and stuff like that. It seemed cool. It actually playing it is better than watching it. It didn't seem like watching the trailers. I'm like, oh, okay, that seems kind of cool, but like playing it was a lot more fun than I thought. And then the other one was Gears of War 4. I got to try out, which looks incredibly pretty. However, I apparently don't know how to play Gears of War at all because
Well,
I was like, I couldn't figure anything out. I was like, what's going on? I don't understand. And I managed to get through the demo, but it was pretty rough. Like I was having a hard time. Now that I feel that's more on me than the game, but like I was still I was still struggling with it.
Yeah, it
An
looked.
80-year-old
But yeah,
an 80-year-old man pushed
an
you out of
eight.
the way and said, "Let me show you how to play this."
Yeah, it definitely
I
looked
felt
really
like I was
nice,
80
but
when I was
it's not exactly my kind of game. But it did look quite nice.
yeah. I
What
kind
was
of want to
interesting
try
though is
like
it didn't
is
have
there
much of a lineup when we were there, which was kind of
no
surprised at. But
I had a lineup when
yeah,
we
I'm kind of
first
surprised at
showed
that
up.
too.
The first day, when Matt and I showed up, I think it was a lineup. I don't. It's tough.
yeah,
It's always tough with like what I liked about the Ubisoft booth again. Like the two games they were showcasing were new games. Like Steep, take it or leave it. At least you can say it's not like Steep 2 or Steep
yeah,
whatever. And For Honor's not For Honor 3 or For Honor 4 or whatever. Like I yes, you could argue Watch Dogs 2 is the second one, but it seems to me more that they're just keeping the name because the game looks different than I like. I guess it's the same premise, but it's almost like a spiritual successor rather than a direct sequel. Whereas I feel Gears of War
Wait, which
4,
game? Sorry.
Watchdog 2 is a spirit
Oh,
successor.
okay, yeah, yeah.
Like rather than being like a sequel, it's like it's the same ideas, but I think they've changed a lot of it to try to make it work. Whereas the first one, I guess, didn't live up to expectations. Whereas I feel when you get to Gears of War 4, kind of like Uncharted 4, like you're not
you're not
It's pretty
surprised.
you're not
established.
you're
Everyone knows what they're getting into when they're
you're not gonna
Yeah,
wow
when they're
you're not
when
gonna
they play.
wow people with Gears of War 4. Like you know what I mean? Like you're not gonna surprise. Well, I shouldn't say that. Maybe you could, but I feel big studios don't surprise people. Like they're not gonna change as
No,
yeah. Like I mean, as
I
much as
feel sorry.
fans
I feel like we're
go
stepping
ahead.
over each other. I feel that like once you get to like the fourth game of a franchise, it's more for the fans than it is for like like obviously you want to get new people in and stuff like that, but it's like no, it's like I want to continue on the story of this game, and the fans of the series are going to really enjoy it because it's a continuation of the characters that they love, right?
Yeah. True that.
At least that's what I think.
Yeah.
The one game that Keegan got to play was he got to play the full Lego Force Awakens on PS4 for a little bit of a demo, and of course he loves that game. So it wasn't quite new, but
do you like it?
yeah, I want to play it on PC. As I said, I'll get it on PC once we have some time in the winter, maybe, and it goes on sale. Because Keegan and I have a lot of fun playing those games together. So right now he's playing the Vita version on my Vita TV because we borrowed it from the library, and it's fun, but it's only one player, so it's not quite as good as when the two of us can play together. And the graphical fidelity isn't quite there because we're playing it on a big TV, and the Vita's a little lower res compared to what the full game can be.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to playing the full game that we can play co-op. So yeah, he was happy to get a chance to play the demo of it at least, and he probably would have stayed there longer. But we're like, you can play this game elsewhere, and we got to move on because we have other things to see. But yeah,
Gotcha.
But he was happy to get to play it. So
yeah, the only other thing I want to add for video games was that afterwards that I got a bit further in Castlevania Lord of Shadow. I actually cleared...
yeah, not Fan Expo related, but...
it happened at the same time.
That game is... It did happen at the same time, yes. It would be really weird if they were showing that game at the Fan Expo.
It'd be right beside Uncharted.
That'd be even weirder than Uncharted 2. It's like, although, actually, that would be really cool, like, if they had, like, a classic game section. Although, they probably wouldn't be classic games.
Yeah,
like,
the classic Uncharted 2.
The semi-classic games. But anyways, to get back to Lord of Shadow, it's like, I actually haven't, like, Scott, you've played it much more than I have, but that game is, like, quite surprising of how
I gotta say,
ambitious it was.
It got the part you got was when the game took off. Like that game has had a couple moments before that, but like all of a sudden just getting past that boss and you get the whole plot figured out, and then just getting into the, like, all of a sudden, like, it's opened up, the views are better, and just, I mean, the main character still annoys me with some of his decisions, but they've kind of emphasized that he's not really sleeping anymore. He's having nightmares. So that's probably why he's making poor decisions. So, but like,
he's like super sleep deprived.
And when that game came out as well, it, I think it really surprised everyone with how pretty it was as well.
Well, I would say it stands. Matt was like, he was impressed that for a PS3 game that looked as good as some of the PS4 games. So
yeah, it looked really good.
Yeah. But so I've now defeated.
Yeah, and the character designs and all that were really good too.
Yeah,
Sorry,
and then the boss fights were awesome.
Have you finished it, Lenny?
Oh yeah, I beat it.
Okay.
It was a long time ago, so I can't answer any of your questions, but I just remember some of the boss fights were fantastic.
Well, I fought a troll, which was pretty cool, or ogre, sorry, and I'm fighting a bird witch on top of a keep with.
I remember it well.
Beautiful snowy mountains in the background.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
Just like it was yesterday.
Yeah. So, anything else for video games, or do you want to move to the board games?
Let's go to board games.
Board games, just for time's sake.
Okay. So, Matt showed up, and we played Ashes. And the only reason I bring this up is so that you and Matt and Shane can clear the air between them regarding Noel Red Moon, because Matt played Red Noel Moon, and I played Jessa. And it's safe to say it was a drumming. I was pretty much in control of the game from, I would say, turn 2. Well, probably from turn 1, because things were going quite well for me for most of the game.
That being said, it was like I feel that it's like I'm still learning all the different ones, and that guy is like, to play against the Jesse, or what is it, Josie?
Jessa.
The Jessa.
Yeah,
To
so
play against
Ash,
Jessa with the guy that I was using, it wasn't good
no, because
for a
basically
learning
Jessa.
experience.
So Phoenix Born is like a Magic the Gathering kind of game where you duel each other. I think we've talked about it many times on this podcast. So Jessa's
Oh yeah,
her trick is that she deals damage to her when her units are dealt damage either by herself or other people. They trigger effects. So it makes people less likely to attack them, and then because annoying things happen, and then also if I have spells to attack my own units to cause annoying things to happen. So
She's one of the expansion characters, right?
no, she's base.
Oh, she is in the base?
Yeah, so in the base you have Cole, uh, Noel, Matt's favorite Phoenixborn, and then you have Aradel,
yeah.
Mayoni, Jessa, and I'm missing somebody. Oh, Sabrine. I think that's 6, isn't it? 4 girls: Sabrine, Aradel, Jessa, and Mayoni, and Cole and Noel. And then you get Dina. She doesn't have a deck built, but you get the cards depending on the pack you got. And yeah, so then the expansions, there's 4 of them now, and 2 promos that go with them as well. So, but I don't know if you have anything else to add on your experience, Matt, other than you feel that Shane was doing something different with Noel.
Yeah, I feel like maybe Shane was cheating almost.
I was not cheating. You just played so well into my hand. It's you should have won that game if you had played way more aggressively.
Yeah, and the problem is I was being more aggressive with that guy, and then it worked to my detriment again. So I just don't know.
Yeah,
the players,
no, Noel is not he's a counter puncher, right? And he's also a bit of a slow build.
Yeah, if you take the Phoenixborns, so some of them are more controlling. It's like Sabrine, Jessa, and Noel are very control oriented, I would argue. And not that the other ones can't be controlly, but I'm just like I feel that Mayoni, Cole, and Aradel are kind of aggressive. Like they benefit from in your face sort of summon something, hit you hard, set up, hit hard. Whereas the other guys seem to be much more. This game's gonna take forever as you drain all my will to live, sort of thing. I don't know if you agree with that, guys.
The long game.
The long game. But that was what we played before. But then when we actually got to the Fan Expo, we saw a couple small producers of games there. There was like I've forgotten the name of it, but there was a little game where you had cute little creatures that had icons on 4 sides. I'm looking for the piece of paper while I talk. But the one Kickstarter...
Oh, right.
I've got it right here.
I can't remember the name of that one.
Pocket Rivals, Monsters versus Robots. And so it was interesting because you set up the whole game to start, but each creature has values on each side of a certain, like it has either 1, 2, 3, or 4, and like it's either 4 hearts or 4 lightning bolts or whatever. So depending on where they're positioned, they can defeat someone maybe left or right of them or up or down. And so it's a very positional game. We didn't play it, but it was there. Maybe we can put a link in the doobly-doo below or whatever.
Well, you played like a little brief moment of it.
Yeah, I did. It seemed okay. I think it would have analysis paralysis because you just sit there and you would be like, if I move this, then you move that, then you move this, and it doesn't have that. Like, say what you want about chess, but at least chess, you don't have that many. Like the pieces get in the way of each other, whereas this one, you're right up against each other right from the get-go, and so I feel there'd be a lot of trying to figure out where to move people and stuff like that. And I feel you would spend a lot of time like analyzing it, and I'm not sure if that's the best strategy or not. The other big game that was a Kickstarter game, or about to be Kickstarter game, was, and unfortunately Shane didn't get a chance to try this, is called Heroes of Karth.
Yeah, I wanted to check it out, but we didn't have enough time, and with Keegan there, I had quite the different experience. So
yeah, no, exactly.
We were pretty much there for him more than
experience.
for me. So yeah,
the family experience. But so Heroes of Karth is sort of So you have a board, like two. You face off like in Magic, but the difference is that you play your units onto a board and you move them around like Summoner Wars or something like that. What was interesting is that each of the units, apart from having the usual defense and armor and like that, every unit had a mana total on it, and then at the bottom of the card there was like a series of lines, and beside the lines was a cost. So you could use different powers, but the more powerful powers obviously cost more, and so once you've run out of mana, that unit has to pass the turn. So what was interesting about the
to
game
replenish.
to replenish its mana. So what was interesting about the game is it had a tactical element where you had to kind of make sure your units were positioned in a good way. And then it had the typical card game stuff where you're managing your hand and trying to figure out ways to get more resources so that you can buy more cards and stuff like that. I was two for, I think it was 50-50. Either I was 1 for 3 or two for 2. I don't remember exactly. Matt was undefeated, so he thinks this game's great.
Undefeated.
Undefeated.
Yeah.
It's got a nice ring to it, doesn't it, Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know
I
what
only
Matt's...
played 3 games though. You played 4?
I played 2 against John, 1 against you, and 1 against... Yeah, no, I was 1 for 3. I was 1 for 3 because John, I played the Ranger deck against John, and it's not... It's meant to be a spam deck where you put out all these Rangers and the Rangers discount each other and you get all these Rangers out. But the deck has no card draw. So you basically get all your cards out and your hand's empty. And then you just watch your opponent, who's been slowly putting 1 or 2 more powerful units out, come over and kill all your Rangers because they're just too weak. At least that was...
I feel that the Ranger deck is the one that needs the most work. Like out of all the decks that I've seen, out of all the games that I played, that like it seemed like the Ranger deck, like it seemed like it wasn't working the way that the other ones were.
Oh yeah, no, like I played an
and
Elven.
like and that makes sense though, right?
Yeah,
like it makes sense because like all the other it's in prototype phase, right? It's not out yet, so it's probably not gonna be out like until next year too, right?
No, they're going to do the Kickstarter in the fall, I believe. So I guess, yes, technically, I guess it won't be available for retail until next year. But I don't know. We'll have to check. We'll update the people as we hear more information. Did you have any questions about it, Shane, or are you?
No, other than that was one that I'd like to see. So I'll keep my eye on it for when it does come out and possibly check it out.
Yeah. No, it was interesting.
I do think. Oh, sorry. I do think that, like it, just from an experience of playing something that isn't out yet, it felt really cool to actually be part of. Like it feels like you're contributing and being part of something, like almost helping create the game as well. Because because
you're giving feedback and
he's. Yeah, he liked the ideas, some of the ideas that we were saying. So it's like, it'll be cool to see that game change and develop. And then it's like, hey, like, that was because of me, right? Because it's like, that was a suggestion that I made and stuff. So it's nice. It was a very cool experience. I've never done that. We never, like, that never really happened in the last time we were at Fan Expo, because I think the games that we played that were prototype games that were practically just coming out, like they're only a month or 2 off. So it wasn't like an in development game.
But no, this is definitely one to watch. I think it has a lot of potential. I really like the tactical puzzle, because in the one game that I won, I had come up the right flank or his left side I had come up on with my Elven warriors, and he was like, "Oh, I'm done for." And I said, "Well, I don't understand. Why? Like, shouldn't you be like blocking me? Aren't you a necromancer?" And he looked at his cards, and he started summoning zombies, and he made this basically wall of zombies so that my guys on the right side couldn't, because the zombies have what's called mana drain. So basically my guys would be beside the zombies, and the zombies couldn't defeat my guys because they had armor, but they could drain all the mana off them, so they couldn't do anything. So he had effectively, I could move, every time I tried to move around them, he would just summon more zombies on that side so that I couldn't get my elven guys over. So in the end, but by this point though, I had money advantage. So then I just started spending to make new guys on the other side, and they came running up the other side to take out the necromancer. And the one guy I had in the deck, which was an archer, he was the one that was pinging the necromancer because he was the only one that could shoot over. So because he was running out of chances because he at that point he was like, I can keep the one side off, but I can't make enough zombies to cover both sides. So it was an interesting puzzle, and I wish it actually reminded me a bit of Conquest and Doomtown, whereas that spatial element actually matters. And but it was still relatively streamlined. And then once you kind of got your head wrapped around it, it had multiple win conditions, which was kind of nice. You could either win by blocking your opponent's back row, getting 40 gold, or killing 10 points. Matt, was it 10 points of creatures?
10 points worth, yeah.
Of heroes into the cemeteries, because once a character dies, they go into the cemetery.
Yeah,
so go ahead.
And then you would have different values on them too. So if you had like a high powered unit, it would actually be worth 2 if you defeated it. And then the regular units are worth 1, and then there's the zombie characters are worth 0. Like they don't count. It has to be a hero.
Huh,
So,
nice.
Yeah, it was really cool. That's actually how I won against the one guy, I can't remember his name, on the first day we played. I ended up doing a kill count for it. And that was using the Ranger deck, but it was a nail biter because like I was having card draw problems, but I just managed to have just enough out that I can
when I was actually almost at a kill. No, I wasn't at a kill win. He conceded because he had to leave, but he said that I was one turn away from taking over the back row of his. So I was going to have a back row victory. And when I lost twice to John,
nice.
John beat me once on a back row victory, and he beat me once on a kill victory. So I like the multiple ways because as Shane, I can totally guess what you're going to be because you turtle on every, which is so frustrating because anyway. I think you'll do the money strategy. You're going to do the money strategy is what I think you will do, is if I had to guess. But we will keep posting on that.
It would depend on what deck that Shane would use, right?
Yeah.
He'll use a vehicle deck if there was a vehicle, which I guess would be the dwarves. I don't think the dwarves come out in the first because I think the first decks they're going to release are elves and orcs, and then I think they'll have.
Yeah, they're still working on the concept of dwarven heroes and stuff in the theme.
Dwarves are item driven, so.
Yeah, sounds like I would like the dwarves.
I like the game. I think definitely we should check it out as it develops. The other 2 games we played there were Euros. One was Castles of Burgundy, the card game, which although we played wrong, Matt.
Yeah.
We played it.
Oh yeah, wait.
There were 2 things we did wrong.
I thought it was the other one we played wrong.
Oh no, we played them both wrong. But that is part of that's part of board games is that when you're rushed to read through a manual, that stuff's missed, and also the fact.
Oh yeah.
But the good news is, Matt, I don't think it really affected it because we were equally doing it correctly, but except for one for scoring. So Castle of Burgundy is based on the Castle of Burgundy's board game, where you basically roll dice to get things to put into your province that gets you points, or allows you to get things that allows you to make more points, essentially. In the card game, they've replaced the dice with cards. So a lot of the cards have multiple use. They'll all have a dice thing on the top, and then they have a type like a castle or a knowledge tile or a river or whatever, and then the bottom gives you a benefit.
Or a farm or whatever.
And so it's a game of basically trying to optimize your strategy. The one thing we were doing wrong, you don't count a value for every card that you put in your province. It's every time you get 3 done, then you count whatever the third one is. So when you put 3 in, then you count the bottom one. And if you make them all the same color, you get a bonus 1 point if you're the first person to do it. You have workers that can adjust your dice rolls adjust the numbers on the top of the cards, and it was very interesting because it felt like a very deep game coming out of a very small box. I don't know what your impression.
Yeah, it was really good. Once we got into it, it was really good. It seemed we're having a hard time at first just because at some point all the cards have the same design on them, but like when they're in different places, a different part of the card is what you look at. You don't worry about the other parts of the card. And then once you get that in your head, then the game becomes a lot simpler. But like it's hard to not look at the whole card when the card comes out, right? So
Yeah.
and actually the other game also suffered from that as well.
Yeah, the other card game was
It's
Oh My Goods is what it's called. And it's a chain game where you basically you place in front of you a building, and then you use the cards in your hand and the cards from the market to produce goods, which you basically flip over a card and put it on top. Like they have a little storage area on the card where that counts for your money and also for the items that thing produces. And so the premise is that you kind of set yourself up so that you produce coal, and coal allows you to make steel, and steel allows you to make, this. Like it's sort of each building kind of. A better example would be use grain to make flour. Flour makes bread, and then you can score points that way. And obviously,
although we didn't get that good.
no. The further up the chains you are in the game, the more points you make. So, Oh My Goods is. I actually kind of like it. I was having a lot of trouble with it, but I was pretty tired by that point. I think it was a very interesting game to try, and I think you would like it, Shane, because it's the multi-use. I like multi-use cards.
Sorry.
I think it's interesting.
Yeah, that does sound interesting.
That was the game we played on Sunday, right?
Yeah, the one we played with John.
On Sunday.
Yes, on Sunday. Sunday.
Sorry, I feel like there's also a slight delay going on, so that's why.
No
for
worries.
everyone that's listening.
Okay.
There's a slight delay because we're doing this over Skype, so that's why there's some dead air going on because it takes a little time for what I'm saying to get to them.
Gotcha. We went to a board game. All right, I'm going to do bullet points now for this. We went to a board game cafe after Fan Expo closed, and we played 3 other games. One we didn't play right at all, so I'm just going to say the name and we'll play it again later. Arboretum. We'll try that again later.
I heard it was a very short walk.
Yeah.
Which board game cafe did you guys go to?
For the Win, which is at Lawrence.
Okay, yeah, that would be a walk.
No, we took the subway.
Oh, okay.
No, we took the subway to that. No, what Lenny is referring to is the not so short walk to the board game place we went to on Saturday. Meeple Mart, I think it was.
Oh, Meeple Mart, yes. Yes.
Oh, you went to Meeple Mart on Saturday.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, that's from Fan Expo. That would be a bit of a walk.
Yeah. Yeah, but Matt's better for it. The other 2 games we played there was one was called from Days of Wonder, the game Relic Runners, which is a trail-laying game where you're trying to pick up relics from temples and get the most points. And the other game we played was 8-Minute Empire.
I like that one.
The Relic Runner?
I also like the Relic Runner. I liked. Oh well, I like both of them, but I like the Relic Runner. Even though I got scammed out of my last one.
Well, that was because
that's the whole point of the game.
That was because we were playing 4 players, and a certain somebody named Kent did not cause trouble for Tooney.
Way to just call him out.
I was gonna call him out on this podcast. It was just his fault because he came over into our territory. So he was competing with you and I for points, and meanwhile, Tooney had like half the map all to herself, and she's like, "Oh, I scored 77 points. How'd that happen?" Because no one was challenging you.
Now, I also made it sure that in the next game, which is the 8-Minute Empire, that did not happen. So I did my duty.
Yeah.
And I think I lost that game too.
Yeah. So 8-Minute Empire, I also highly recommend. It's a small area control, so you put armies on the units. But the way you do that is there's cards at the top. There's 6 cards, and you pay, or 5 cards, sorry. And you can either take the one that costs 0, 1, 1, 2, or 3. And the cards on them have a type of good on the top, and then an action. So you use the action to put army units on the map, move your army units, build cities, etc., etc. And then the goods you use at the end, because the more you have of one good, the more points you get for it. And it's a super short game. Like it literally takes about 8 to 10 minutes or so. But it just plays so well. Like it's so it's because it's such a small map. You're fighting with each other for area control. It's you kind of watching what everybody does. The cards have multiple uses, so you're like, well, do I want the crystal because I already have two crystals, or do I take the carrot because I really need to be able to move my armies? So there was a lot of decisions, and it just rolled out really well. So I highly recommend that game as well.
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty good, especially since it was also a bite-sized thing too, right?
Yeah. And then I'm going to wrap up real quick so that we can finally let Shane talk about X-Wing. We played an epic Warhammer 40K Conquest battle between the Tyranids and the Tau, and the Tau pulled out a squeaker win on like planet number 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, it was a good game.
Planet 5, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty intense, and it ended up like it was totally like it was great because it's like Scott gave me advice on how to like kind of like explore the different planets a little bit more, because I was always having the problem of just going to the one that's being contested. But yeah, it was pretty sweet because like taking that advice, and like it really helped, and it really added to the depth of the game too. Like it also helped the fact that you couldn't win from the first 3 planets because there are different resources. So it was pretty sweet that like, and the Tau, man, like, bringing up all that sweet attachments and stuff like that can really get some really powerful units. That's the greatest thing about the Tau, is that like, if you could put so many attachments on the Tau that it feels like you're playing Chaos, because the Chaos has like those big huge units, and then if you have the Tau with the attachments, you have those same crazy big units. It just takes a little bit of work.
I was still impressed with the Tyranids though, because the Tyranids have a lot of. I did an infesting deck, so basically it puts infesting tokens on the planets, and when things are infested or are infested, a lot of my cards trigger, which gave me various abilities to pull out battle trick after battle trick that kept me in the game a lot longer than I think I would have otherwise. So definitely a game I was happy with.
Plus, you had lots of tricks at the end with the epic battle at the very end. You had so many tricks that like made it. I thought I was gonna cream you at the end. But then I just like, it ended up being just squeaking by because of all the tricks that you ended up having. So
yeah, the Tyranids, sweet. Yeah, it helps my card game dilemma, because I quite enjoyed how that played out. And I think when you contest me for planets instead of just letting me run around the galaxy unopposed, the game is a little closer. So, but that is enough about the Watsons talking about their Fan Expo bonanza. Now it's time to go to space. So there are X-Wings flying through the air. I just want Shane to give us an update on his ongoing cooperative and non-cooperative X-Wing play.
So, at work, Thomas and I, on our lunches, are playing the co-op campaign, and we're actually very close to finishing now, because we've got 2 victory points, and you need 3 victory points to complete the campaign. And the way you do that is you start off. There are a number of different sort of mission trees. So you start off at level 1 of a certain mission. So the way it works is there are a number of level 1 missions, and you put those into sort of a deck, and you draw 3 cards, and you choose which mission you're going to partake. And then if you complete that mission, then you get its level 2 card to put in your deck, so that when you draw your next 3, you may get 3 of the other level 1s that you didn't take, or you could get the level 2 of the level 1 that you already finished. And so you play through, and as you go along, you get more and more of the level 2 and level 3s, and then the level 3s are what give you the victory points. And once you get 3 victory points, you win the campaign. Of course, if you go to a level 3 mission and you lose, the Imperials get a victory point, and if they end up accumulating 3 victory points, then you lose the campaign. Fortunately, we have not had any Imperial victories on a level 3 mission yet, so we're looking pretty good, and our ships are kitted out quite nicely. So probably by the end of the week, we'll actually finish up our playthrough of the campaign, and it's been a lot of fun. I really like playing the co-op campaign. So then, since I now have some X-Wings of my own, I've started the co-op campaign with Keegan. We've played 3 missions now, and we've done pretty well so far. Keegan is getting the game. He's starting to learn sort of some of the nuances of the game, and he's doing pretty well. Um, but we don't always have time to set up and play the campaign because it takes a little while to set up. Um, just because I don't really have a great storage system yet for all my stuff. So for me to sort through and get everything set up, it takes a little while. So Keegan and I also have played a couple
You,
of
you, you need a
games
game.
of,
You need a gamer table.
well, yeah, that, and I need some new Planos. But I'll work on that eventually. So when we don't have time to play the campaign, King and I have been playing the sort of classic, one-on-one duel versions of X-Wing, and it's been pretty good. We seem to go back and forth, and generally or at least it seemed for a while, that whoever was playing the Imperials would tend to win, except we actually just played a game tonight where Keegan was the Imperials and I was the Rebels, and I was able to squeak out a victory. It was very close. I had 2 ships left when I destroyed his, but one of those was one shot away from being destroyed, and the other one only had a few health left. So it was a very close match, and yeah, Keegan's really enjoying it, and we're having a lot of fun with it. So
Now that you've
it
played
is
it a
very
bit,
good.
it's just saying in case I think we've said what it was before, but in case you don't, X-Wing is the poor man's miniature game in the
Yes.
sense that it's more like plastic, nicely done little plastic ones versus I guess the metal ones that I guess Warhammer are done with, but they're done sort of in affordable little. You can pick and choose what you're going to put in and stuff like that, and you have point cost to decide your armies. How are you finding the rules? I guess in general, are you kind of getting this? Like, would you say that once you kind of get your head wrapped around it, that it's pretty straightforward? It's just more learning terminology, or would you say that there's a lot of complexity that, like Netrunner
Um,
complexity?
so the base set of rules are pretty easy to get your head around, but the complexity comes in when you start adding in um, basically the modifications and extra cards you can add to your ship, and some of the abilities that you can gain through those, and with the different pilot abilities. And that's where the complexity is. So it's nice. So when Keegan and I started out, you can play where basically all you do is you move your ships, and if you have a shot, you take a shot. Um, and so we played a few games like that, so we got used to learning how the different ships move, and learning about maneuvering and positioning your ships to try to get the best shot. And then you add in the complexity of the actions that the ships can take, and then you can add in the cards that can further enhance the abilities of the ships and give you different actions and different capabilities. So um, it's nice in that you can sort of build up to the most complex iteration of the game, or how you can play the game. And yeah, the complexity comes from adding the cards to the different ships, and enhancing the abilities and trying to synergize your list.
Okay, so what about the home brewed rules for the cooperative? Does that work pretty straightforward, or?
Yeah, so the the way the co-op campaign works is you start off with sort of a base ship, and you get a certain amount of experience points, and those experience points are what lets you buy the add-ons and capabilities for the ship. So depending on what ship, you can add torpedoes, or you can add an astromech droid, and whatever abilities they give you. And then as you play missions, you earn more experience, and that lets you sort of level up your piloting skill. And as you level up your piloting skill, you open up extra slots for new skills for your pilot, or you can add at different levels, you get a slot for a new modification that you can put on your ship to give it extra capabilities. So you end up with a ship that you would never be able to play with in the regular game, but it's a lot of fun because now you feel more powerful as a ship in the co-op campaign. And in the co-op campaign, the enemy ships have a sort of AI that they go by. So each turn, the enemy ships will decide what their target is, and then you roll a dice, and depending on their position relative to the target's position and what they roll will determine how they move, and then they have a set of rules for what action they would take.
Oh, so
And
they have
so,
like a paper AI.
yeah, it's like a paper AI.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but just when I told you guys about the car-driven war games that have a lot of them have AI, what they call paper AIs, which is essentially a flow chart, and then basically depending on the board state, it moves you. The game reacts a certain way.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so it works out
Okay,
quite
so it's
well.
like if this go here.
If
Sort of. It's sort of like, I'll give you an example. So after the ship moves, the sort of flow goes, if the ship has stress or a card that needs to take action, it'll take that to get rid of the stress or get rid of the negative effect of a critical damage. Then, if it has a shot, or if it doesn't have a shot on the ship, but it can say barrel roll, which is it can do a maneuver to get into a position to shoot, it'll do that. Or if it already has a shot, then it will take an action called a focus action, which lets it possibly gain a benefit when it goes to shoot against the other ship. And then if it doesn't have a shot and it can't move to get into a shot, then it'll perform an evade token, evade action, which means it's harder to hit. So it's basically in defense mode.
So it's essentially the Final Fantasy 12 Gambit system.
Kind of. Well, this is for the bad guys. So yeah, it's sort of
only on paper.
Yeah, this is how the bad guys work. But yeah, it's kind of like the Gambit system that it's if this, then do this, else do this.
Very cool. All right.
That's cool.
Well, we're gonna wrap up because we've been talking a very long time. Does anyone want to have any quick hits about what they've been playing? I'm thinking about Lenny. Has Lenny been playing anything? I feel we've been just talking, and Lenny has been sitting there going,
I've just been listening.
Look at my Batista bat flip.
Yeah,
print.
Batista bat flip. I wish I could watch that on the TV here, but maybe soon there will be more bat flips. I've been playing some Until Dawn. I've not posted it, but I did beat it.
Hooray!
Nice.
With all characters alive.
Oh, wow. That's really good.
See, Matt would tell you it only counts as one. I would say it counts as two because I am that kind of guy.
How about it counts?
Wait, why would that count as two?
See?
I think it would count as how many characters are there?
Seven.
We'll say we'll call it 6. It counts as 6. But after I beat that, I've been playing South Park: The Stick of Truth to prepare myself for the fractured butthole.
There you go.
Now,
just a curiosity: is it a double joke in the sense that the game system is actually pretty robust underneath that? Like they've actually built a half decent RPG game, and then put a South Park skin on it, or is it like you're playing it just because you like South Park? Like, or is there a game there?
Oh, I would argue that it's both.
Good.
It's got like the RPG elements. The only thing I would really, there's probably a few things I would improve upon, but the one thing I'm not a big fan of is the map. I wish the map were better. The world map essentially of the neighborhood. But yeah, you can your character can get outfits, hats, facial, what do they call them? You can outfit yourself with beards, different hairstyles, and all that stuff will I think all that stuff will allow you to do different quests. Because right now, there's a part in the game where all the emo kids are out behind the school, and they tell you, they say, "Get out of here! You're not emo." But I know for a fact, I might have sold it, but you can like get an emo wig and the makeup and stuff, and do yourself up, and that I feel like that will open you up to more quests, more side quests. But yeah, like it has a lot of good RPG elements in there, and it looks like an episode of South Park. It's fantastic, and
Okay.
it has all that humor in there.
Okay, good. Well, that was always my. I always worry when like it's like a movie franchise they're making a game for that the game itself is pretty weak, but
Yeah,
it sounds like some thought was actually put into making a good game.
it's a really. I feel like it's a. I've only played a little bit of it, but I feel like it's a really well made game. Like you yourself might play and go, yeah, it's got some. You might roll your eyes at some of the humor because you may not like South Park, but it does have.
I like early South Park. I must confess
Right?
I've not seen the past 8 seasons, but
Some of the like they tackle some like they tackle some issues with some comedy in it, and it makes it good because they prove some good points with some of the comedy that they do. But it's yeah, it's a fun game.
very cool. Anybody else have any highlights they want to say before we wrap up?
Just real quick, I've been playing Grand Kingdom,
I oh
and
What?
I'm really
Sorry. What
enjoying
kingdom?
it.
What
It's
kingdom?
it's Grand Kingdom.
Is it grand?
It's grand.
Okay. No. Is it? I'm asking. Is it grand or is it just a play on words?
No, it's Grand Kingdom. It's what it's. I don't know. That's the name of the game.
It. Oh man, is it grand? Is it like? Is it? Have you
Is that a
found it grand?
advantage?
I've quite enjoyed it. Yes, it's totally my kind of game.
I
Um,
see some anime. I see giant eyes. Oh, we forgot to mention that. I'll can we do that next time after we've
yeah.
actually played it against each other.
Anyway,
Uh,
so it's really neat. It's a sort of strategy RPG, but when you're in a mission, you move around. It's almost like a bit of a board game because you move around space to space, and then when you get into a battle, it's there are 3 lanes, and you set
Wait a
up
minute.
your
This is a
team
lane game.
a little bit, but
Oh.
you can move lanes. Like you start off you set up your team, which is 3 or 4 characters of various different classes, and you
Uh,
set them up so that they start in one lane, but you can, when it's their turn to move, they can change lanes if you want, if you have or need, if you have movement. But part of it is setting yourself up to maneuver, and uh, you know be able to attack the enemy and then not necessarily have reprisals against you. Um,
okay.
but each of the different classes sort of really attacks differently, because it's sort of like when you go to attack, say with a melee character, you're basically doing combos, and then when you attack with a range character, they'll sort of there's sort of like a cursor that goes along, and you have to time your hits sort of so that you're hitting the other characters, and as you hit them, they may launch one way or the other depending on how heavy they are. So depending on where they launch, then you'll have to change the timing of your hits to keep hitting them more, because you have a certain, depending on how much action uh, meter you have, will depend on how many sort of chances you have to sort of hit them. Um, Anyways, I've been having a lot of fun with it.
Very cool. No, it looks neat. I'll have to. I assume you have it on the Vita, which means that next time I
Yes,
see you, you can
I can show you. Yeah.
you can show me. Matt, you were gonna say something to interrupt Shane, but you didn't.
yeah. Well, no, I just was gonna say what I'm honest. My delay is getting worse. So, but anyway, I am doing Final Fantasy 11. I don't know if I actually have said that yet. I know people know that I'm doing 14, but I'm actually doing 11 now as well, which is the other MMO. And I got my samurai up to 49, level 49, and I just beat my first limit break on warrior. So now I'm going to be a warrior / samurai, which is totally cool because I do so much damage and I can do so much defensive stuff as a warrior in Final Fantasy 11. So yeah, that's it. Also, it's going to be part of like a project that I'm working on because I've recorded a lot of footage from that, because Final Fantasy 11 in its PC form might be gone. Like, it's on a limited time because the game's been out for like 13,
Yeah, and
12,
they shut down
12 years or something like that. So
Yeah, they shut down everything
they
but
shut
the
down everything
PC
except
version,
for
right?
the PC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, and also they're making a mobile version of Final Fantasy 11, so that's going to be interesting. But we haven't heard anything from that. So I feel that once the mobile version is out, then they'll probably shut down the PC version.
Yeah, it probably will.
But anyway, that's topics in the future. Like, let's not worry about that. But yeah, that's me. That's all my stuff.
Okay, very cool. I think we've talked enough today, so I think we're going to wrap it up. I have nothing else, guys. You ready to call it a day?
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Sounds great to me.
All right. Okay.
Caca.
Caca. Thank you for having been a wonderful audience. Please tell your friends of the wonders that you've seen here, the battles that were fought and won. We are here for 3 nights. Now, please exit orderly down the aisles, and please come again. The shops are located on the other side of the tent, where you can purchase a memento to always remember the fun that you had under this tent. Now, quickly, before the stock runs out, there is no time to play.